Hi, welcome to The Observationist. Today we are looking at how and why farmers and ranchers have been stupid since 1932. Now, if you like topics like these, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to see more like this. I really appreciate it. This channel of mine is new, and the more subscribers I get, the more easy it is I could justify putting time into this. Thank you. Now, how can I say that farmers and ranchers have been stupid? Well, their voting record proves it. And it's not just my opinion, that's what the data shows. For 93 years, American farmers have consistently voted for politicians who oppose every single program that keeps them in business. They bite the hand that feeds them election after election, decade after decade, with a consistency that would be impressive if it weren't so freaking stupid. Now, I've looked through the congressional records tracking every major piece of agricultural legislation passed since 1932. What I found is staggering, so mind-numbingly contradictory that it proves American farmers and ranchers might be the dumbest voters ever. Now, here's the bottom line. Over the 93 years since 1932, Congress has created 24 major programs that support our agricultural industry and keep the American farm viable. Republican-controlled Congresses have created exactly zero, not one, not a single major farm support program has originated from Republican legislators in almost a century. And yet farmers continue to vote Republican at rates 60, 70% election after election, decade after decade. In the recent election in last November, 77.7% in rural farming communities, rural counties, in 2024 voted Republican, voted for Trump. How stupid is that? Forrest Gump said it best: "Stupid is as stupid does." Now let's take a look at the 24 programs. Now, by the way, when I was doing this to kind of, I wanted to see how Republican voted changed with Trump. That was my purpose. I was not expecting to find what I found, and not at all. I found, when I first started doing my research, I found the 24 programs. Great. I had not yet determined which ones were Republican and which ones were Democrat. And so, but still, at the beginning, you have a kind of expectation. Even when you don't know, you still have an expectation. And I expected Democrats to have most of them because they started with the Democrats under FDR. But I was expecting, but I also knew that the farming community supported Republicans very, very heavily. So I figured the Republicans had to be doing something for them. I wasn't sure what, but they had to be doing something. So therefore, I figured maybe 16 by the Democrats, maybe 8 by the Republicans, maybe 18 by the Democrats and 6 by the Republicans, something like that. But what I found stunned me. Not merely surprised, it stunned me. 20 of the 24 programs, every single last one was done by a Democrat. Here you go. I'm scrolling through them now. You see them. Number 13, number 14, number 15, number 16. These are all done by Democrats. Now, there were a couple that were signed in by Republican presidents. But what I was looking at was programs that were initiated or backed by a certain party in Congress. And so far, every single one I found, even the ones signed into law by a Republican president like Eisenhower or Reagan, they were still Democratic bills. Now, if one of these programs had been fully bipartisan, where a majority of Republicans and a majority of Democrats voted for it, I would have indicated that. But as you will see, that's not what happened. And I got to admit that, like I said, that stunned me. That surprised the living hell out of me. And then that raised the question in my mind: why would Republicans keep voting for? Why would voters, the farming ranching community, vote for Republicans? Why? It boggles my mind. So let's take a look now a little more closely at this. It all started in 1933 when FDR and a Democratic Congress facing the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. It was a great agricultural crisis that was destroying American farming. So what did they do? They created the Agricultural Adjustment Act that paid farmers to reduce production and stabilize prices. They created the Commodity Credit Corporation, giving farmers guaranteed minimum prices through crop loans. And anybody who's in farming knows that access to credit is critical to farming. And Democrats made sure they had access to that credit. And they established the Farm Credit Administration to support agricultural cooperatives. Now when you go across the country, agricultural cooperatives they're everywhere. Well, how'd they start? They didn't exist in 1900. They started under the Democrats in the 1930s. So in just that 1 year, 1933, Democrats built the foundation of the modern agricultural safety net. Where were the Republicans? They were opposing it, of course, calling it socialism, claiming the free market would fix everything. But here's the kicker. Those 1933 programs are still operating today. And hopefully they'll continue operating. Farmers in 2025 are still benefiting from those loan programs and price supports that Democrats created 92 years ago, while Republicans voted against them and are trying to destroy them today. But the pattern continues decade after decade. Let's go a few years later, 1938. Democrats created the Agricultural Adjustment Act and federal crop insurance. Think about that. Crop insurance that protects farmers against natural disasters. Republicans oppose that. Today, farmers collect billions in crop insurance payouts every year from a program the Republicans tried to kill in its cradle. 1939, Democrats created the first food stamp program under FDR. Now that solved two problems simultaneously. Farmers couldn't properly sell their surplus crops then because people were so poor they couldn't buy them. So people were starving to death while the farmers were producing too much food. So that policy, the food stamps, solved two problems. It helped the farmers and it helped get rid of starvation. Now, what's interesting, when you read a little bit more into the history of it, that program was actually primarily a farm support program. Its primary purpose was not to feed the poor. That was a secondary purpose. The primary purpose was to ensure the survival of the American farm. And the Democrats did that, not the Republicans. Now, unfortunately, the Republicans did oppose it, and they killed it a few years later in 1943 during the war. But the genius of that program was so obvious that Democrats did bring it back. Kennedy restarted it in 1961, and Johnson made it permanent in 1964. And today, SNAP benefits pump billions of dollars into the agricultural markets every year, supporting farmers. Because remember, when a person on food stamps, you get stamps and they go buy something, what are they buying? They're buying food. Where's that food come from? It comes from the farms. The SNAP programs, the food stamp programs, supports the American farmer with billions of dollars every year. So if you kill the SNAP program, you will also kill all that money going to the farmers. So every time you see a farmer complaining about government spending while cashing a crop insurance check or benefiting from commodity price supports, you're witnessing the fundamental contradiction in action. It's stupid, and it's been going on for nearly a century now. And like I said, Forrest Gump said it best. Stupid is as stupid does. Now, let's move ahead to the recent decades. And nothing much changed. Obama created the Agricultural Risk Coverage Program, Price Loss Coverage Program in 2014, providing farmers with revenue and price protection in volatile markets. These programs pay out billions to farmers. Guess who opposed these programs? Republicans, of course. Guess who benefits from them today? Republican voting farmers. By the way, if you're liking this, please like and subscribe. I could really use the help. Thank you. Now, what do Republicans actually do when they get in power? They dismantle those programs that Democrats built. Nixon and his agricultural secretary Earl Butz ended production controls in the 1970s, leading to the boom and bust cycles that required expensive emergency interventions later. Reagan's PIK program was essentially a crisis response to problems that conservative policies had created. Rather than building sustainable agricultural infrastructure like Democrats do, Republicans create emergencies and then claim credit for managing the disasters they caused. Right now, DOGE is slashing school breakfast and lunch programs. Can't have that socialism. But by cutting $12 billion from programs that support both children's nutrition and agricultural markets, they're making a mess. That's $12 billion that goes to the farmers, not directly, but indirectly through the purchasing programs. That money's not going to go into the agricultural community because the stuff's not going to be bought anymore. And so once again, Republicans are tearing down programs that support farmers. Now, Democrats created Food for Peace in 1954, even though that was under Eisenhower, and he did sign it in. So I have to give Republican, at least under the Republican President Eisenhower, that credit. But USAID programs was created in 1961 under Kennedy, and it combined a number of programs together to make the Food for Peace program and helping our allies and third world countries out with food a little bit more efficient. Obama expanded that a little bit later with Feed the Future initiatives in 2010. But besides being very feel good programs that help the poor around the world, help feed the people around the world. Besides doing that, they do something very, very fundamental and very, very important from an economic point of view. It pumps billions into the American agricultural industry. When our government spends $50 billion in a year on food, which is what Biden had budgeted for USAID this year, that money goes right to the agricultural industry. That food that we're giving as foreign aid to countries around the world, that doesn't come out of nowhere. That comes right off the farms, and the farmers get the $50 billion that they're paid. But not this year. The $50 billion that Biden had budgeted for USAID this year has been zeroed out. It's been killed by Trump. Now, how much did he kill it? Well, USAID had something like 10,000 employees. Now there are 13 employees. That is as good as that. I wonder what those 13 employees are doing. Are they merely the janitorial staff, keeping the empty buildings dust free? I don't know. I don't know why they kept 13. That's a mystery to me. But that's $50 billion removed from the agricultural industry by USAID. And of course, we're not even talking about the tariff wars that are destroying our foreign markets or the ICE raids that are destroying our access to labor so our farms can function. But without the labor, some of them are not going to function very well. So that brings us to the voting contradiction. Here's what makes this pattern so mystifying to me. Farmers are not stupid people individually. They are highly educated. They understand complex agricultural systems. They manage sophisticated business operations. They adapt to changing conditions. These are capable and intelligent individuals. I know, I met and talked with many of them. But collectively, their voting pattern is absolutely insane. They depend on and use a safety net built by Democrats while consistently voting for the party that opposes that very safety net. When my mother got old, she got dementia. And she hated the person that came every day to feed and care for her. She had dementia. What is the farmer's excuse? How do the Republicans get away with this? Some people think, and I've talked to some people about this, and one response I get, some people think it's the myth of the self-made independent American that farmers have bought into. They think that they're totally independent and self-reliant, and they don't rely on or be supported by anybody or anything, which is silly. Other thing is just lies that the Republicans tell. That doesn't make sense to me either, because nobody's going to believe lies for 93 years. So there's something else going on there. So it's not just it's not just the lies, the recent lies that Trump has told. This has been going on long before Trump got around. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. Especially if you are in the agricultural community, and if you are Republican and you vote Republican, please let me know. What am I missing here? What is it about the Republicans that draws you to them? And what is it about the Democrats that repels you from them? Because something's going on that I don't see. And if you could help me understand that, I would appreciate that. But right now, this isn't merely just a mere historical curiosity. This has real consequences. Trump and the Republican policies are having huge, profound, destructive impact on America's agricultural industry and our nation's ability to produce food, support our farmers and their families. If farmers keep voting for politicians who oppose the government programs that support them, is there really any hope? After 93 years of evidence, the pattern is undeniable as far as I could see. Democrats build agricultural infrastructure, Republicans tear it down. Farmers depend on Democratic programs, but vote Republican. It's a cycle of economic suicide that defies explanation, at least as far as I could see. The question for farmers and ranchers to me is very simple. Will you continue voting against your own interests, your family's interests, your children's interests? The data doesn't lie. And like I said, Forrest Gump said it best. Stupid is as stupid does. Now, what about you? Are you stupid? Well, that's my report from The Observationist. If you found this interesting, please support me with a like and subscribe. And please watch some of my upcoming videos. One is going to be, I think, going to be really interesting. It's an AI war game of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Can China take Taiwan? Is it that easy? We'll see. A discussion on what China is really doing in the South China Sea. Hint: it has nothing to do with resources. And then another one I want to do is a little more vague. Is what history tells us will likely happen in the 2026 elections. There are some precedents in history that give us some hints as to what that might be. And it might be a profound change. Anyway, that's my report for today, and hope to see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.